I was intrigued by like what that would look like, so I ended up putting Nutella all over my face, all over my body. With small characters, sometimes you have to really bring them to life quickly! Whew, okay, sorry about that. Hello, my name is Lampaert. I'm an actor and a comedian, and in this video I answer some questions that I often get asked about craft and technique, and I wrote my answers down because I do get distracted sometimes. What acting technique or method has influenced you most? Honestly, I'm not too familiar with all the different types of techniques that there are, because I studied theatre arts at Middlesex University, which was quite useful because I wanted to, do acting, and I ended up in a sort of different course, one that was teaching sort of a little bit of everything, right? So theatre arts, I learned about costume, light, sound, set design, sort of a little bit of everything, which turns out was really good. It was actually better, I think, for the long term of my storytelling career. And then as, the second year, third year, you get to sort of go into more of a niche. And I ended up studying solo performance because stand-up comedy felt like the right path for me, because the actors that I looked up to, the sort of comedic, goofy guys like Jim Carrey, Robin Williams, Eddie Murphy, they had all started as stand-ups. So that was my path. And so I came out not necessarily analysing what I had learned, I just sort of had it in me. And for me, the best moment that I realised, if you like, that I didn't know how to express what I had learned, but I knew that I did, was when I went to the Jacques Lecoq School in Paris to, briefly study clowning. And so I was there for a period of time, and I was so in the present moment, I didn't necessarily analyse what I was learning. But when I came out of the school and I would go on stage and I would perform, it's like my body knew what I had to do, but I didn't quite understand how to verbalise what I had learned. And so I think it's time for me to do that, because I didn't realise there were so many different techniques. So I'm going to list the techniques now, and then I'm going to analyse a little bit some of my body of work, and then we'll go into more detail what those techniques actually sort of mean. So there's Stanislavski's system, the method, Stella Adler technique, Meisner technique, Uta Hagen's technique, Spolin technique, the practical aesthetics, viewpoints, theatre of the oppressed, Chekhov technique, Linklater voice method, Grotowski technique, classical acting. That's what I've got so far. Maybe there's more, I don't know. But so yeah, let me share with you a few things along the way. So one was, I think this was like a couple of months into my first year at university, I ended up getting appendicitis. And when I went to the hospital and they cut my appendix out, they accidentally cut my intestines, and so stomach acid was pouring out and I was digesting myself. And I'm laughing because it is quite funny, but it was not funny during the time. And so I was in hospital for quite a long time. I had lost so much weight. I looked like sort of a ghost, and the few friends I had made in that brief time, when I returned to halls, you could just see that they were like so shocked. Like some of them were just crying and I was like, what? I can see how much I had transformed. But yeah, I there was a period of time in my life where I could put my hands around my waist, which is wild, right? I mean, look at that! If I sucked in, I could do it. Now I can't even get my hands around half of it, which is great. Anyway, so I was very ill. I was high on, not high, but sort of high on morphine. They had pumped me full of morphine, the most a human was allowed to have medically. Well, maybe not medically, but legally. The approved amount of morphine was just jacked inside of me. So I was a little bit buzzing, but I also didn't want to miss out on work. So I was, in bed, and I was in bed so long, I had to relearn how to walk. Like, it was wild. And I had tubes up my nose, tubes in here, I had a tube up my cock. It was a mess, man. Anyway, so I was trying to catch up on some work, and I was reading An Actor Prepares. Now, I ended up doing something which was so weird and surreal, and I only found out 10 years later was because I had read it from here. So be careful what you read, because clearly you imbibe it, and then what you sort of digest emerges out into your reality. But it talks about this actor who is playing the role of Othello. And Othello is a prince, and he's the only black man in the play. And old school times, in Shakespeare's actual days, the role of, all the roles were done by men, right? White men. And so the men would play the women, as in Desdemona, but they would also play the role of black men, and then would sort of do black makeup. And so at one moment he talks about, where is it? Let's start this one here. But my eye fell on a cake of chocolate. I melted it with some butter and obtained a brown mess. It was easy to smear it on my face and make myself into a Moor. And so essentially he was exploring what he could do for the makeup, right? So this is Stanislavski's book, An Actor Prepares. What I ended up doing was, so I had a fever, high on meds, and there was Nutella. And I was fascinated by the idea that that's what happened in Shakespeare's days, because I couldn't fathom that was the reality, right? Because I had other students all around me from all over the world, men, women, different countries, different religions, different skin color, right? So for me, multiculturalism, multi-flavors is like totally normal. And so I couldn't it boggled the mind. And so I was intrigued by like what that would look like. So I ended up putting Nutella all over my face, all over my body. And then I ran around the halls. I was so high on morphine. I mean, it was such a mess. And it's only 10 years later when I reread the book, and I went, oh my days, that's what I did. It was wild. And so maybe an acting technique that most influenced me maybe was Stanislavski's What If, right? What if I had to be that role? So anyway, so that was the beginning of my weird acting journey. And then one of the big roles I landed was Loz in Amsterdam, aka Stoner Express. And really fun. I did, there wasn't really much to engineer, because I essentially sort of played a version of myself, just a heightened version. And with the costume, I mean, he always had fantastic costumes. So it was so much more fun to be extravagant, and he was an eccentric character to play. And he was based on a real person, so I got to meet him, but I got to meet him halfway through the shoot in Amsterdam. But I got to do my own thing with it. And one of the things I remember, I couldn't quite get the emotion out of me, but I knew that the scene required something. So I ended up listening to a song that was quite sad, which was attached to a breakup I had with a girlfriend. And so I was listening to that, and that's sort of how it emerged out of me. That's how I was able to play the scene. Now, frustratingly, in a way, it meant that I wasn't fully present with the actors, because I was trying to sort of bring back an emotion from the past to the present moment. So I was sort of maybe fleeting between the two. But some of those techniques talk about like almost the re-emergence of trauma, right? To use whatever emotions, whatever backstory we have to bring something to the scene. And so that's what I did for Loz. But yeah, Loz was really fun, very silly, basically just a clown. And so I got to just slightly be myself, and that was fun. Then I played Terry in Life's Too Short, directed by Ricky Gervais.
My mates call me Morpheus.
Do they?
No, I haven't got any mates. Just put Terry.
I was on set for maybe 20 minutes. I don't know how long I was on there, because it was only like a few lines. That character, because, you know, small characters, you have to bring them to life, and you've only got a small window. It's almost harder to do a small character than it is a big character, because you get to like have time and room to play and to grow, and you can be more subtle. But with small characters, sometimes you have to really bring them to life quickly. And so with Terry, I'd been doing stand-up for a little while, so I just knew it all had to be about comic timing. And I think I only did the scene twice. Which was, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? It was complimentary, right? Because I would do the scenes, and actually, maybe we did it 3 times, because at one moment, Ricky just yelled cut because he was laughing too hard. Right? He was probably laughing at his own script, but still, right? He was also laughing because I had performed something and it had gone well, and so that was really quite a nice moment. But again, I don't know how much technique I was putting in, apart from just make sure it's good comic timing, and again, it was a version of me, but it didn't necessarily feel like I was putting on a different voice or a different physicality. You know, it was just an in and out, quick comic guest starring little moment. Then there was Edward in Les Profs 2, and with him, the costume was so somber and dark that I was able to sort of almost embody something different, something, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, I kept thinking of the janitor in Harry Potter, but obviously this is a comedy, and I kept thinking actually of Rick Mayall. Rick Mayall was definitely one of my inspirations, and I'm very lucky that I actually got to meet him when I did my first ever short film, not a directed one. I acted in one called This Side of the Afterlife, and he narrated the story as I performed it, and I got to meet him in the sound booth, and yeah, he played Bottom, and he's done so many like there's one role that he does, it's not even a role, it's actually a performance live on stage, when he talks about theatre. What are you, theatre?
And the first poem's one of my angriest of all, and it's called Theatre. Ah, that's got him. Theatre! What are you, theatre? Whenever I'm near to the theatre, Shut up!
Fuck off! You know, like, he basically does a really bad poem that gets laughs, and whenever he gets laughs, he gets upset because it's not supposed to be funny. So he goes, fuck off. And anyway, and so I brought a little bit of Rick Mayall actually to that character, and that was a fun weird role. But that was for a French movie, and what was fun about that was they all had a French sense of humour, and I brought in a sort of more British one, and I was playing alongside the star called Kev Adams, and now he's a huge star in France, like. Maybe the biggest one. I mean, honestly, he's the biggest star, but I didn't know, right? And so at one moment in the scene, we're having a moment together, and it just felt right to slap him.
Oui, la statue sacrée.
Salut les statues sacrées, bien?
No, proprement.
Salut, ça va, tranquille, proprement?
So I slap him, and you could see it in his face that, like, you know, it wasn't in rehearsals, and it felt right for the scene, okay? And at one moment, when the director yells cut, you could tell the director was really quite happy with that. And everyone was like almost shocked that had happened. And so the director's like, yeah, great, we'll keep that. And so I keep slapping him. And then after the scene, he said, you could tell that he was intrigued by me because I just had the confidence to just slap maybe the biggest star in France. And he's like, oh, so what do you do? And I go, oh, I do a bit of stand-up and stuff. And he goes, oh, I do stand-up too. And I go, oh, brilliant, you know. And he goes, oh, have you got a video? And I go, oh yeah, I've got a little video. And I just show him a little video where I'm like, you know, doing a 50-seater and it's not even full, you know, there's like maybe 20 people in the audience. And I go, oh, he goes, oh, that's really nice. And then he shows me a video and it's thousands of people in an arena. And I go, oh, right, oh, wow, you do stand-up as well. Oh, we're like colleagues. We're like colleagues. So that was fun. But yeah, so costume can really have a part to play in the creation of your character. The look can suddenly give you a different visual. Like when I look at myself in the mirror and I look different, it's like I'm able to go, okay, Eric is really put to the side here. There is someone else that I am now embodying. And sometimes that's done with, hair and makeup, and other times it's with costume. And so Edward, the character in L'Épreuve 2, you know, he looked somber. And then there's Tazit in Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets. And again, big, grand costume. I mean, also there was a grand costume for the King's Seer in The Last Dragon Slayer. Again, grand costumes. And so you're able to move in space in a different way, as long as it fits the character, as long as it fits the tone of the movie. But there is something to be said about transporting yourself in a different costume. That's why when I wear a suit sometimes, you know, it feels almost like I'm worthier of something, or that I'm worth more money, or I don't know, because it's a suit and I don't wear it often. And so when I wear it, it's usually at a special event. So maybe that's what makes me feel special. So clothes do have something to say about how we engage with reality. And so Tazit, I had this great costume, great makeup, but then the hat was so actually heavy that as soon as they put it on me, it's like, that's what, like, my body felt like it was like this. And so it almost sort of stifled my voice. And so suddenly, as I was playing with the costume, a voice sort of came out. Yes, welcome everyone, welcome. Yes. You know, like it sort of like came out of me in a different way, and that was pretty fun. The character of NATO in the movie Anna, directed again by Luc Besson. There was a little scene that actually was cut, but that provided me with the forward momentum for the character. Basically, there was a pile of cocaine that NATO was doing. And so in my 20s, I indulged in a life of rock and roll life. So I had tasted some of the flavors that human consciousness can experience, if that is how I will phrase it. Yeah, I've done cocaine. So, and I wouldn't recommend it, actually. It's rubbish. I mean, it gives you a bit of energy, which is what I sort of gave the character. And it also, not everyone, but it makes you so almost focused on you. Me. And so, I mean, maybe I'm doing cocaine wrong. I don't know, but that's what that's what I experienced originally. And so I made him into like a real asshole, because that's just almost that cocaine scene, which was cut, gave me that sort of energy, and there was no script, right? So Luke actually gave me carte blanche to just do what I wanted. He said, look, the character's an asshole. He has to do this photo shoot. He's mistreating them, and yeah, do what you want.
Give me dirtier.
Yeah, that's nice. That's very nice.
Yes, green dress.
I said to him, I was like, oh, I'd like to look different. And again, it was because I wanted to step out of Eric, because Eric, even though, you know, as in me, I make mistakes. It seems like I make mistakes all the bloody time, and I don't want to. But life is so difficult, and everyone is so different that when you meet people, you could say something and they might misinterpret it, they might mishear it, you might miscommunicate it, whatever. There's always these different types of frictions going on everywhere. And so mistakes happen, and sometimes mistakes can be destructive. And I don't like hurting other people. I don't want to hurt other people. Quite the contrary. I want to love them, and I do love them. But even in love, we make mistakes. Anyway, I'm going on a bit of a tangent. My point is, I don't want to be a bastard. I'd love to play a bastard. I mean, playing them is really quite fun, but I don't want to be one. And so I have to really step into someone else's shoes, and sometimes that helps to be someone else. When I did Mon Incroyable Fiancé in France, it was a prank show, 16-day long prank show where I had to be someone else.
Que deux personnes, on doit mentir, et après c'est tout.
Voilà.
Donc
Après,
on est prêt, on est presque là, quoi.
voilà.
Je te mens pas, je suis un peu nerveux.
Oui, je sais, je le vois là. Tu commences à être très nerveux. Détends-toi.
Ça, c'est mon ventre à l'intérieur.
And that someone else had to be a pain in the ass. And so you know, they wanted me to keep my name, and I said, I just simply won't be able to. I have to be someone else if you want me to you know, portray harsher, crueler, more grotesque versions of self. You know, these are all things that are within me, but not things that I want to actually present as me. And so for that role, for the character, I had to become someone else, and we ended up calling him Patrick. And so then I was able to sort of be wilder because I was being someone else. And same thing with NATO. You know, at one moment I said, oh, you know what, for this character, can we just give him handlebar moustache? And he said, yeah, okay, well, let's try it. We'll do handlebar, and if I don't like it, we'll just shave completely. And I went, yeah, no worries, that sounds good. And so I came out with a handlebar moustache, and he said, yeah, I like this. Okay, I'm in. And so...
Remember, you are princesses, not transvestites, yeah? So I'd like to see your feminine energy, if I could, please. Ooh. Hello. Yes? Strike the pose, yeah? So, did you recover from last night? Ooh.
Again, just, you know, having that, and then having the costume and stuff like that, and just the hair. That's not how I normally have my hair. So just to have a quick look in the mirror of what I look like, suddenly I was able to put Eric to the side and be someone that was slightly crueler. And because, again, doing stand-up comedy, it helps because, you know, there's that comedic side to playing someone with a bit of malice. It was good fun. If you've made it this far in the video, thank you, firstly, that's really nice. But it also means that maybe you like me a little bit, eh? And that's really nice, so thank you very much. Or maybe you just like the art of storytelling. And if you do, like this video and subscribe to the channel for more on the craft of acting and the world of stories in which we coexist. All right, thank you, love you. And then finally, you know, I mean, I've played other little bits, but this last role that I played, Crow, in The Thing with Feathers. Now, I was mostly hidden. I'm not going to go fully into a dissection of that role because I've done a video about it already, which I'll put a link here or in the description below. But Crow is the manifestation of grief. And I had just come out of... I say I'd just come out. I was still, in a way, reeling with post-traumatic stress disorder from an event that had happened a few years ago. And so I really felt like the manifestation of grief. Not joking, not like just in an artistic way. No, there was the event that happened to me transported me to the catonic levels of Hades. yeah, I mean, yeah, it was wild that time. That time was wild. And so when I did the audition, I didn't mean to sound this confident. I just simply was that character. And so I said to him, I was like, whether you give me the role of Crow or not, I am Crow. As in, like, that is, you know, reading the book, reading the script, that's literally what I've been feeling like. So the movie felt like almost like a gift, like a way for me to heal some trauma. Sorry. Sorry. Fuck. Whew. Okay, sorry about that. So yeah, so despite the fact that I was hidden underneath a crow costume, if I was using my own body, you know, how would I engage with the script? And so I read a lot of Ted Hughes, and I read a bunch about his life, and you know, he has gone through so much heartbreak, and you know, he would smoke a lot, and so I then decided to like sort of smoke that. I almost really tried to embody what that must have been like, to be grief, and then for this personification of grief to help others. You know, so I really tried to understand that, and it's not like I just like I felt it, like I'd had an experience not you know, not long before landing this movie, a short film called Joke's on You, where I play a Joker trickster type character. We agreed on calling it the Hayoka, which is the Native American trickster spirit. And so, you know, after amnesia, you know, that's the event that I had. Those years afterwards were so surreal that, you know, it made me believe in almost everything: angels, demons, ghosts, robots, time, present, past, future, all being one thing. Like it's like I knew nothing, and in that nothingness, the self, this version of me, was like a curious alien, and sometimes I felt like I was transported into a different reality. I mean, it was like a dream. I lived in the United States, so, you know, was that place really where the American dream happens? Is dreaming, is living a dream, not just some poetic way to go, oh, we can really reach for the stars. No, is it like a literal, we can be in dreams? Am I in a dream right now? Anyway, I'm going on a bit of a tangent, but my point is, there was a moment where I played this trickster spirit, and because again I had been playing with something like that in the emergence of nothingness, at one moment I'm doing the scene, and the director yells, you know, cut, and I go, you do not cut me, something like that. And then I went, oh bloody hell, sorry about that. Right? It's because the character had rented my body out. I don't quite know how to explain it, but it was, that's why, like, the definition of acting, and therefore its techniques, which is something that I clearly need to learn, the definition of acting as transformed in a way that I don't really know how to describe it. And yeah, so I mean, the evolution of my life as an actor means that I constantly need to learn. I constantly need to update my system, much like any craft. You know, as technology gets better, then we need to know how to engage with that craft. And so one thing that I do know about acting is what I've just said there, which is it's a constant learning process. Just like, you know, when you drive a car, you have to take it to the MOT every year to make sure that it's, you know, healthy enough to go on the roads. Well, same thing for an actor. It's like every year, make sure that you take yourself out for an MOT. be it with a therapist or an acting coach, or I mean, ideally both. I mean, and I'm talking to myself here. This is something that I'd like to be doing. I am my vehicle in a way. And so we have to constantly adapt, constantly relearn what an actor is. So what did I... Oh yeah, I'm going to go through the acting techniques now. Okay, so an overview of the major acting techniques. Although they are like separate approaches, they are often combined so that you can have like the best kind of performance for your, you know, yourself. So the Stanislavski system, a foundational modern approach to psychological realism, right? So actors analyze objectives, obstacles, actions to create believable behavior. So it emphasizes emotional truth, given circumstances, right? So the total set of environmental, situational and background conditions. So who, where, when, how, why, that dictate a character's behavior. And the magic if, as in, what would I do if I was in this situation? So that's Stanislavski's system. Then there's the method acting, developed in the United States by Stanislavski's ideas and sort of developed by practitioners such as Lee Strasberg. So actors draw on personal memories and emotional experiences to create authentic feelings on stage or on screen. So there's a strong focus on emotional recall and deep psychological immersion. So this means that it requires actors to fully inhabit a character's inner emotions, motivations and psyche to create authentic, lived-through performances. And one of the things about that is that, you know, this is why early on with actors, that's all in a way we can do is recall our emotions and our traumas and stuff. So there is a real healing done in performance. And then once you heal, maybe that's why you then need to apply new techniques, because if you suddenly are healed from wounds, you can't be using those wounds again. You have to find new ways to create and to call onto these like powerful emotions, which are all inside the brain, right? And inside the heart, maybe. There's Stella Adler. I need to actually do some research on her, but she rejects like sort of emotional memory. So she emphasizes imagination and script analysis and understanding the world of the play, and then actors sort of build characters through research and imaginative expansion rather than personal trauma. So I should be studying her soon. And then same thing with Stanford Meisner technique. It centers on truthful behavior in the moment. So it uses repetition exercises, listening drills, and it's about living truthfully under imaginary circumstances. Then there's Uta Hagen, focuses on substitutional personal experiences to connect with a role while maintaining control and craft. So exploring things like who am I, what I do, what I want, what are the circumstances. I mean, they all sort of bleed into each other, right? Viola Spolin uses theatre games, right, to build spontaneity, creativity, ensemble awareness. So the emphasis is play, improvisation, freeing the actor from self-consciousness. Yeah, because once you get out of your own head, it's like the harmony and the collective consciousness can sort of play through you. Carl Jung talks about that. Something along the lines of, I'm going to butcher it, but art is a kind of innate drive that takes over the actor, takes over the human, and like uses it as its paintbrush to paint, you know. So I'll put the quote on the screen now. Practical aesthetics, created by David Mamet and William Macy. And it's a pragmatic, script-focused technique. So actors break scenes into clear objectives and actions using a structured analysis to produce simple and playable choices. Then there's viewpoints, developed for theatre by Anne Bogart and Tina Landau. and that focuses on physical movement and spatial awareness. Actors explore time, space, tempo, gesture, and ensemble composition. And there is something amazing about sort of letting the body just tell the story. I mean, if anyone's ever done yoga or like a really good massage, sometimes it's like, you know, there's a book called The Body Keeps the Score by Van der Kolke, Besse van der Kolke. Not a theatre practitioner, a doctor, but he talks about how trauma and emotions can be kept inside the body. And, you know, I've done a yoga session once where suddenly stuff just came out. It was fascinating. And but the other way round, right? Like, for example, if you don't feel like exercising, well, then just do the exercise first, and the body will then go, oh yeah, I'm now embodying a person that wants to do exercise. So the body can really engineer emotions in a way that it's like the emotion can come first through the body rather than analysing it on the, you know, in the brain or in the heart and stuff. So yeah, physical work is a very interesting thing. Augusto Boal, theatre of the oppressed. And that's usually to engage with social and political things, right? So, and audiences generally aren't just spectators, they become spect-actors, right? So they are intervening in scenes to explore solutions to social oppression. So theatre becomes a sort of rehearsal for real-world change. It's pretty interesting. Michael Chekhov technique emphasizes, again, imagination, physical gesture, and psychological gesture to embody a character. So it's less psychologically analytical than Stanislavski. It focuses more on expressive physicality and archetypal qualities. Kristin Linklater, so the Linklater voice method, it's a vocal training system designed to free the natural voice. So it focuses on releasing tension, connecting breath to emotion, and developing resonance and clarity by expressive speech. So again, that's that thing of the idea of the body sometimes will find the voice for the character. Jerzy Grotowski, The Poor Theatre, a highly physical and spiritual acting approach. So it strips theatre down to actor and audiences and emphasises intense physical training, vocal exploration, and total actor commitment. Which, you know, as I say that, I go, well, all of it's total actor commitment. You know, we're all committed. And then classical acting. And that's based on traditional theatre, so Shakespeare, Greek drama, and it prioritises voice, rhetoric, text analysis, verse speaking, physical presence, and we focus on clarity, projection, mastery of heightened language. So there are obviously distinctions, right? So the psychological realism is Stanislavski, method, Adler, Hagen, behavioural is Meisner, physical and imaginative is Chekhov, viewpoints, Grotowski, then analytical and practical is practical aesthetics, and then the voice and speech, Linklater. And then the political and social theatre is the theatre of the oppressed, and that's basically it. And then classical acting is a little bit of all of it, but that's a sort of text-driven tradition. Okay, that was a much longer video than I'd anticipated, but I hope you enjoyed it. I got some stuff out of it. I didn't think that some of my emotions would come out, but you know, it's life, isn't it? We're not thinking creatures who feel. We are feeling creatures who think. And so that's the thing with actors. We have to embrace all of our feelings, and that sometimes can be really difficult because it's like, you know, when you go to the gym, you know, you're working out, but then when you leave, you're not just constantly working out. You just happen to have a strong body, and maybe what I need to work on is, you know, I do wear my heart on my sleeve. I really do, and so sometimes I find myself maybe too open to emotions out in the real world, because it's my tool belt to know all these different emotions, to not only know these emotions for myself, but to know the emotions within someone else. And sometimes I pick up emotions just from the weirdest of places, and just from one interaction with someone or one conversation that I overhear, I suddenly sort of hear them, but I feel them, you know? And that sometimes can be too much. It can be too much. And so maybe that's something that I need to work on, is how do I keep this really useful tool belt inside of me, with me, but in a way that doesn't overwhelm, you know, the play of my life. Yeah, interesting. All right, see you later. Thank you for listening, watching. I don't know. Bye. Thank you for watching the video, and if you are going to the Edinburgh Festival in 2026, then come and check out my show 0-1. If not, I will be taking it on tour, hopefully in the UK, in Europe, and the world, dare I say. And if you're watching this way into the future, I mean, hello, isn't this amazing? Hello, maybe I'm alive, maybe I'm dead, I don't know. But if I am alive, then I'm probably still doing stuff creatively. And so, yeah, hello, subscribe, and maybe I'll see you. Maybe we'll never meet. Isn't it amazing? Oh, life is amazing.